Polymarket returning to the United States, the online betting platform announcing on Monday it's acquiring a derivatives exchange called QCX. Price tag is $112 million. And joining us right now in an exclusive interview about it all is Polymarket founder and CEO Shayne Coplan. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you guys for having me.
So
round two.
You're back here in the U.S. This has been the dream.
Long time coming.
So let's go backwards. You've been operating. We talk about Polymarket as if everybody can use it, but the truth is that most folks couldn't because you had to be in Europe
for trading. I mean, I think the way you guys talk about Polymarket's kind of like become the Bloomberg terminal for reality almost. And it's awesome. I'm humbled that every time I tune in Squawk Box, you're like, well, Polymarket. And, you know, I was watching Eric Adams' episode, and the first thing he said is like, well, the Polymarket for this. And I was just like, you know, I'm from New York. I went to high school right here. And the mayor talking about our site is just incredible. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a ton of latent demand for people who want to participate in the markets, not just look at it. So for us, you know, where we sit, it was like a must-have.
And so what happens now?
So obviously, I think people were pretty surprised. It was like a big acquisition. And the simple way to put it is it's kind of the perfect asset. So it's an exchange and a clearinghouse. And you know, that lets us go and serve brokerages and FCMs, as well as retail and institutions, which is really important. They all know and love Polymarket. When I get to meet these people, they say, oh my God, Polymarket's amazing, but I wish we could trade on Polymarket. And, you know, ask and you shall receive, right? So
how much does this compete like with Kalshi? That Kalshi is probably your biggest competitor, at least in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's been this crazy journey where prediction markets, Polymarket has become this cultural phenomenon. And I would say that I'm very grateful and we're very lucky that people have looked at Polymarket's success internationally and said, okay, how can we just copy and emulate this as much as possible in the US? And that was a very arduous journey. And now it's kind of been paved out. So what it makes it for us is like, hey, we can go buy this asset and there's precedent for how to do these things. And we're going to be able to get in very quickly.
Do you get know-how with this acquisition too, kind of understanding of those markets? And
yes. I mean, look, we made a hire, Neil Kumar, our CLO, who's ex-CFTC, ex-Wilkie, excellent domain expert on this. And yeah, the folks at QCX, one of the best parts of it is that they're derivatives, OGs. And you know, a lot of the time when we're making strategic decisions, we'll talk to them about it. And
derivatives OGs, that's good.
It's a different lane, right? I think that Polymarket at its core, it's consumer, it's culture. That's what drives us. But we also are nerds about market structure. And you know, if we really want to go and dominate the market like we can, because you know, you guys talk about Polymarket all the time. We say the Polymarket for this, and it's just caught on. You know, we need to go and be able to serve the markets that people want to use.
Let me ask you a question long term.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the success that you want, I assume there's going to be a lot more competition. And I'm assuming that competition comes from the following places. I'm assuming the sports betting universe decides, you know what, we've got this massive funnel. We've got people who are already betting on sports every single night. They've got their credit card. They got all their accounts there. We're going to get into this business ourselves, right? That's one end of it. There's probably the Wall Street end of it, which is the traders who are going to be doing this in another way. And then I'm assuming there's probably 5 other ways that other people will get into this business. Does that mean that you ultimately license some of what you're doing to other people? Does that mean that you get acquired by one of these people? Does that mean that you buy somebody else? What does this actually look like in success?
It's a great question. I mean, look, you can draw a lot of parallels from how, say, interest rate swaps matured, or say how the stock market matured over, you know, the past century plus. The way that I think about it is, you know, you look at sports books, for example, or you look at these like consumer trading apps. They're not exchanges, they're not marketplaces. They're front ends for existing infrastructure. For sports books, it's sort of this commodity business, and you have the odds and you take the other side, and it's basically subject to the innovator's dilemma right now, where they take these huge margins, and now there's a better way to do it with things like Polymarket. The way that I think about it is there's a different type of user behavior that is the itch is scratched for with Polymarket, and that's this idea that you have an opinion on things and you're curious about what's going to happen in the future, and you know, I think you're wrong and I'm right, so you know, I want to put up or shut up, right? And when we think about product, that's what we want to build, as opposed to some sort of hyper-financialized app. And I do think that there'll be maybe some cannibalization if these are powered B2B, or maybe there's some element of, there's probably going to be more competition as the revenues heat up and the market gets larger. But we're really just focused on delivering on product. And the final thing I'd say is, like, if you look at the numbers, I don't know if you guys have seen, like, Polymarket's gotten pretty damn big in terms of usage, distribution, brand. And I think, you look at some of these other companies that have maybe $1 billion marketing budget or near it, and you look at Polymarket, which is just this scrappy team that just is always trying to do things guerrilla and, figuring out shrewd workarounds to go and get distribution. And what's really exciting about Polymarket is because it's not so hyper-financialized, people share the screenshots all the time. People go in, it's word of mouth. Like, I tune in and I hear you guys talking about it. That's incredible for us. And, you guys talk about just because you find it interesting.
What's the craziest bet you've seen so far? I mean, I saw the divorce, the speculation about a divorce between Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. That, like, what's the wildest thing that you've seen on the platform?
Yeah, I mean, some of these like Middle East markets where it's like you're kind of anxious about what's going to happen. And from people who are in the open source intelligence community, they go and say, hey, Polymarket's before where we get our leads. Like, it moves quicker. And to me, that's just one of the things that inspired me most before I started Polymarket, was this thing called the Policy Analysis Markets, which was funded by DARPA. And it was all about using decision markets, which is like a deviation or, a derivative of prediction markets, to go and forecast what's going to happen in the Middle East. And the idea that we've been able to build up the market infrastructure and the critical mass to be able to have that in real life effectively is just mind-boggling.
Has it worked? The bets in the Middle East situations there have
it's accurate.
Predicted accurately?
When it happens, you see an influx of people in the countries where it's relevant to in customer service queries, right? It's like someone tells me, Polymarket's blowing up in this Telegram chat for this community, because a lot of people want peace of mind, or they're anxious and they want to know what's going to happen. That's why they tune into the news. That's why they tune into X. And now that there's this other data point, which is the Polymarket for whatever the topic is, they get to see, this is how likely it is. And it's updating in perpetuity. So instead of just reloading a news feed, you can go in there and see what Polymarket's saying day after day.